Gold is back above $2,000. Silver is moving big. And we're in the middle of what my friend Mike was just saying, a molecule crisis where all of these physical things, we're starting to see incredible moves. There was a while ago, the head commodities researcher at Goldman Sachs, I may have mentioned this to you. He was calling corn Bitcoin. This was quite a while ago. And now you're seeing that with everything. You're seeing it with wheat, you're seeing it with nickel. Now you're starting to see this move in gold. Then there's Russia sanctions. All these crazy things are happening. So in this video, we're going to be breaking down how to control what you can control. Nobody likes to see this happening. My guest is a father. I'm a father. We all want the world to be peaceful and safe and stable. But the reality is that's just not the cycle of time we're in. But we are in a wealth transfer cycle, and there's things that we can control, ways to profit off of this. So my guest is one of the best experts in the world on mining stocks. He's actually one of my very good friends. One of my things that I've been most grateful about starting this channel is I've met a couple really good friends from it. Steve's one of them that's become a really good friend. Mike from Vizsla, Justin from Uranium Insider, and a lot of other great friends I've met. And so today's guest, I can say, is one of the most researched, professional, and just all around great guys. That's Steve Penny. He is the creator of Silver Chartist. It is the best free newsletter out there that's breaking down gold, silver, mining stocks, uranium, making sense of this all, how to profit from it. And I've been really proud of Steve because when I first met Steve, I forget how it started, but we said, why don't you do a newsletter? And he started it off the back of one of our interviews, and it's grown to about 10,000 members. All these amazing stories. I know one of my subscribers bought a car off of their first month or two using Silver Chartist. So it's an incredible newsletter. It's an incredible service. I highly recommend you sign up. Steve's really been incredible with this. He's brought in Jeff Clark, one of the best longstanding mining analysts, David Brady, incredible people into this team. And he's actually building an app now. It's coming out soon. So the price is going to rise pretty significantly with Silver Chartist here very soon. So I highly recommend you sign up for that. The link is right there down below. It's in the description and pinned to the comments right there down below. I highly recommend you do that. Even if you're not sure, I don't really want to get invested in mining stocks, think about it larger than yourself. We're in a wealth transfer, and this is an opportunity to protect yourself, protect your friends, protect your family, and protect your freedom. So sign up for that. The price is going to be rising here pretty soon. Link is in the comments, pinned to the description. Hit the like button on this video. Comment down below. Steve rules right there down below. And we want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Vizsla Silver, one of our favorite silver and gold mining stocks. That's Vizsla Silver. So thank you, Vizsla, for being our sponsor. And Steve, what's up?
Too much, man. Thanks for that kind intro. And the feeling is mutual. I've made so many good friends over this past couple of years, you included. And, even our friends on Twitter and social media. For the last couple of years, 2 years ago, we would be outcasts. We'd be weirdos talking about these things in public. So, you find friendship with people who see things through a similar lens as you. And, the rest of the world is starting to wake up to the things that we've been talking about. It's not a happy thing, what's happening, but we've been prepared for this. And we're certainly not happy that it's happening, but like you said, there's ways that we can benefit, and we want to be in a position to be a blessing to other people. So look forward to today's conversation.
Yeah, I'm also, I don't really like to use I wish I had a better word when I say I'm proud of people, because it's kind of like a weird, I don't know, it's a weird word, but I'm really proud of you, starting this, and how many people you've helped, and all the amazing stories, and you've really put your seatbelt in and built, amazing team, amazing service. You got the app going. And it's been really cool to watch, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. And the story, I've been planning this for a long time, years, but I wasn't ready to launch it. We did our first interview together, and you asked me, where can people find more about you? And I normally say Twitter, but you said you specifically asked for a website. So I said Silver Chartist, I gave my website, silverchartist.com. But I said, don't go there yet because it wasn't ready. And then people started going there and signing up. There wasn't a video. The page wasn't built yet. And so we launched it that day. So, I'm forever grateful for you inviting me on your show a couple years ago now. And, it started something really special.
Yeah, Tony Robbins has a quote. He says, "You're not limited by resources, only by resourcefulness." Mm-hmm. And I think Steve's story is a good example for everyone listening that there are more ways that you can add more value and get more creative about protecting yourself, your friends, your family. And when you show up fully, really good things happen, right?
Yeah, 100%. We've all got value to add. And, there's nothing wrong with monetizing that too in a way that's mutually beneficial. We have a way that we can serve other people, and we all have a sweet spot. I like to say where your passions and your abilities intersect, and I'm grateful to have found mine.
Okay, so you've been talking for a long time. About this stuff. Well before you had Silver Chartist. I've got to think to you. To me, just running this channel for 2 years, it's crazy to watch what's unfolding. I got to think it's especially crazy to you, whether it's currency crisis, these global devaluations of currency, these geopolitical scenarios. How do you make sense of all this, and where's your mind focused?
Well, I've been preparing for what's happening now for over 10 years now, and I'm still a little bit surprised at the pace that it's happened just in the last few weeks, specifically in the commodities. We've all been expecting inflation, but we're things are doubling every week or so. Just last week, coal was up 75% in a week. We all saw what nickel did the last couple of days. Up 100+% in 2 days for nickel, and this is happening across the board, and this is going to have long-lasting impacts, even if the crisis in Ukraine and Eastern Europe starts to ease. The impacts of what's happening right now this isn't a flash in the pan. This is a trend that's going to accelerate into the remainder of the decade with, crazy volatility along the way. As Rick Rule likes to say, you either use volatility to your advantage or you're a victim of it. And, we specialize in using it to our advantage.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about this kind of metals and commodities super cycle. I was just talking to Mike Connor, and he reminded me of, I wasn't there in the 70s, but he reminded me of some old conversations with Rick, where Rick was talking about the legendary commodities market that made a lot of these great investors very wealthy and kind of branded their career. And he was talking about how first oil really moved. And then everything just moves right after that. What's your thoughts on that? And where do you think we are in this cycle?
Yeah, 100%. The required industrial commodities typically move first. And we're seeing that. We saw copper at all-time highs, oil, things like that, industrial metals. The monetary metals tend to lag a little bit because, whether you believe in manipulation or not, they are suppressed. And so they tend to lag, but then they play rapid catch up, and especially silver. We're seeing gold right near its all-time highs. Silver is nowhere near its all-time high, still less than half, or right about half its all-time high. So at some point, we're going to see a rapid catch-up move. Now, whether that happens, in the next few weeks or sometime this year or even into next year remains to be seen. But the key is being positioned ahead of time with core positions so that you're ready for when it happens and you're not a victim.
So show you pulled up a couple charts and visuals you wanted to show. So give us one of the first ones you wanted to break down.
Yeah, everyone wants to know about gold. That's what a lot of your listeners are interested in on this channel, and that's my specialty, gold and silver. So let's take a look at a chart for gold here. This chart goes back to the beginning of 2019, and we've remained above this uptrend line the whole time. So we've been in an uptrend in gold, despite how it has felt for the last year and a half or so. But you can see this downtrend line right here, going back to late August of 2020. Once we broke above that, which just happened a couple weeks ago, the next thing to look for is higher highs. That's what any technical analyst is going to look for. So we broke above 1880, we broke above 1920, and now 1960. So we've moved really far, really fast. So I think at this point, it's undeniable that the trend has changed in gold. We're now in an uptrend. And that doesn't mean we're going to go straight up from here. So people need to understand how uptrends work. it doesn't keep going straight. There's you see some of the biggest downside volatility in a bull market. So we need to be prepared for that and not shaken loose. And that's where having a solid understanding of the fundamentals really allows you to hold through that downside volatility. Now, we could fall all the way back towards $1,800. I'm not expecting that, but we could, and that would still be an uptrend in gold. So don't be surprised if we do see sharp pullbacks along the way, as long as we maintain higher highs and higher lows. That's what we're looking for going forward. And obviously, you can see right here, $2,089. That's the previous all-time high. The high today came within $11 of that. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if we go break above that in short order here. But like I said, nothing goes straight up. So we're going to see downside volatility along the way.
Where does the geopolitical war and all this stuff, where does that fit in with where gold can go?
Yeah, so that's a common, I think, misconception right here in the last few weeks is people say, oh, gold is rallying because of the geopolitical situation in Ukraine. That may be partially true, but I've been I sit at my computer almost all day watching this stuff. And gold had turned the corner and it began moving up before Ukraine was in the headlines. And let's not forget, we are expecting the Fed to do their first nominal rate hike on March 16th. And typically what happens is gold rallies right after that first rate hike, at the beginning of a rate hike cycle. Well, once something happens enough times in a row, the market begins to anticipate it. So I think this time the metals were anticipating a rally following that rate hike. So it happened beforehand this time. And then, of course, the geopolitical situation just added fuel to that. So there is a war premium that's built in right now. And if tensions de-escalate in the next few weeks, we could probably see some of that come out. But that doesn't mean that this is all based on what's going on in Ukraine and Russia right now. I'm firmly convinced that we're going to see higher highs and higher lows going forward.
All right. What else you got for us?
Yeah, let's take a look at the chart for silver, because what's really interesting here is whenever gold makes a new all-time high, silver always follows suit. So in 2020, gold made a new all-time high, right? Went up to $2,089. Well, silver never made a new all-time high above 50. That has yet to happen yet. And I think it's all but certain to happen at some point in the not too distant future. And that can mean a few quarters. It doesn't have to mean days or weeks, but it's coming. I'm very convinced of that. So when we look at the chart for silver here, you see I call it the silver squeeze downtrend channel, because that began on February 1st, 2021 at the big silver squeeze movement, which was, if anyone denies manipulation, that was probably the most obscene manipulation I've ever seen. You have a day where you have all-time record physical demand, and then the price falls when supply is stagnant. So it defied the laws of supply and demand. And that started this downtrend line. Well, last week we broke above that downtrend channel. It's very clear here for the first time. And that makes $30 the initial price target. We're not quite there yet, but I think once silver gets above 30, the path from 30 to 50 probably happens faster than most people think. Now it's going to be a tall order getting through $30. We might go up there and tap it, pull back quite a bit, consolidate for a few weeks, and then get back above it. But getting above 30 this year, I think is the main objective. And then once we get through $50, there's not much technical resistance between 30 and 50. And if you're into the mining stocks, there's a lot of money to be made in silver miners between $25 silver and $50 silver.
Why?
Well, there's just so much leverage built into the mining stocks. Like let's use a theoretical example that's probably pretty accurate for the most part. Speaking generally, let's say you've got a producing mining company that it costs them their all-in sustaining costs. Let's just say it's, for easy math, $20 an ounce to pull an ounce of silver out of the ground, and silver's at 25 for easy math. That means they make a $5 profit, right, on for every ounce they extract. Well, if silver goes from 25 to 30, that's a 20% rise in the price of silver, but their operating margins, their profit just doubled, even though the price of silver went up 20%. So that little illustration right there illustrates the leverage in mining stocks. So if we go to $50 silver, these things are going to be making money hand over fist, and the share price is going to reflect that.
All right. You got any other charts for us?
Well, I've got a lot of charts, but I think these ones kind of show where we're at. Why don't I show one more for GDX? This is the senior gold mining ETF, which is also characteristic of the start of a major uptrend, a major upleg. Typically what happens is gold leads, followed by the senior gold miners, because that's where big money and institutions go. And then the retail typically tends to follow suit. And the more speculative aspects of the sector tend to follow suit and play rapid catch up. So that means the junior silver miners, silver. So we're starting to see that. But it's the senior gold miners that have been leading. So here's a chart for GDX, and you can see how fast we've run from down here around $28 up to over $40 today. So that's a really nice move in just a short period of time. So you can see this is almost a vertical move. Moves like that don't just keep going on that trajectory. So this can allow you to plan for it. And I just sent out an alert to our premium members today, giving 3 strategies to consider right here, right now. And I took some action myself. But don't expect it to keep going up on this trajectory. There's going to be downside volatility. And you can use technicals or charts like this to pinpoint precision entries and exits for your mining stocks. And a lot of people are still looking to accumulate. I think that we're going to see some nice pullbacks along the way to much higher prices.
You were talking a little bit ago about silver. You were saying it's still 50% from its all-time highs. Mm-hmm. It's crazy to think about because you're in this scenario where everything's at new all-time highs. Mm-hmm. And due to the price manipulation of silver, first of all, the price manipulation of gold, and due to the psychological association with silver as the little brother of gold, silver is even hit harder by that manipulation and that psychological perception. And one of the things that's really crazy about that, I was talking to Keith Neumeyer last week, I believe, and he was breaking down the math for me on how much silver is needed for the stated electric vehicle mandates that governments have, most of which are primarily by 2030, 2035, things like that. And it was nuts. I mean, the math that based off of how much silver is used in a car, in an electric vehicle battery, and then the math on how many vehicles there are and how many of them are produced a year, how many of them are electric now, which is infinitesimally small. I forget what it was. It was only like 5 or 6% of all cars were even built electric. And you see how far away we are from these mandates. And the math was, to get their goals, it was more than the entire annual supply of all the silver that's mined in the world. What do you think about that? It makes a perfect storm. And I can see why someone like Keith, that's a very sophisticated, smart businessman, why he focused on silver, way back when, because the math was just so obvious to him.
Yeah, Keith is as bright as they come. Whenever people talk about the fundamentals for silver, even uranium and platinum, it's like the more research you do, the deeper you dive, the more bullish fundamentals you uncover, the more bullish you become. It's just what happens. So with silver, it's an extremely small market. There's less than 1 billion ounces mined every year. And at $25 an ounce, let's say there's 1 billion ounces between recycling and mine supply. At $25 an ounce, that's 25 billion. That's nothing in the grand scheme of things when we're talking about globally. That's such a small market. And you've got growing industrial demand for EVs, you've got solar, other industrial applications for silver. But really the kicker is going to be when just a small percentage of people in the world say, you know what, I want a tube of Silver Eagles. Just a little bit. There's just simply not enough at anywhere near today's prices. That's what's really going to, flip the lid and see the prices really, go through up near $50 and even higher, I think, when just a small percentage of people say, I want some physical silver for investment demand.
So you talk a lot about the wealth transfer. What is the wealth transfer? Where are we in that cycle, and how do you prepare for it?
Yep, I love that phrase, wealth transfer, because it frames this conversation in a more accurate manner. I think wealth is really never destroyed; it's only transferred. Rarely is it destroyed, except for in cases of like war and things like that. But like in depressions and recessions, wealth is transferred. And you have to know where we're at in the cycle. If we're going into a deflationary recession or even depression, that's where cash gains purchasing power and tangible assets go down. Think the Great Depression back in the 30s. It was the Rockefellers and all these guys who had cash and they could scoop up assets at undervalued prices. But in an inflationary depression or recession, you want to own hard assets. And that's where other things fall. Paper assets fall in value relative to hard assets. And wealth is transferred, purchasing power is transferred to people who have tangible hard assets. And going back millennia, it's silver and gold that are the prime beneficiaries in this exact cycle, this exact environment that we find ourselves right now. There's nothing new under the sun. What's happening right now happens over and over and over again throughout history, even going back millennia. Governments debase the currency and hard assets benefit. It's just what happens.
What's the silver chartist agenda or playbook in order to capitalize on that?
Yep. So I think strategy is so important. A lot of people learn this stuff and they wrap their head around, what's going on in the world. And then they say, well, I need to get some silver and gold and buy some mining stocks. And that's a correct response, in my opinion. However, I feel like not many people put a lot of thought into a personalized strategy, and there's no one size fits all. So, at Silver Chartist, I like to focus on strategy, sharing viable strategies, and I show people exactly what I'm doing. And I've got several different ones. For example, like a couple of simple strategies for accumulating physical metal. I just dollar cost average every month. I transfer a little bit of fiat into real money, gold and silver every month, regardless of the price. But I've got a very different strategy when it comes to accumulating mining stocks. I don't just say, hey, I want to have some mining stocks now and take whatever cash I have and buy them. I've got a systematic way to do that. And the same goes for trading. I take about 10% of my portfolio and I trade it for monthly cash flow, and a different system and process for that as well. And we articulate all that to our members.
All right. Where are you keeping your eye? They say keep your eye on the ball. Mm-hmm. What balls are you watching?
Yep. So we're laser focused on silver, uranium, gold, platinum, and battery metals. And at some point, if you're invested in these sectors already and you've got somewhat of a full position, you're probably a contrarian, right? So at some point, we're going to have to kind of shift our mindset from being a contrarian to more of a trend investor, because there's going to come a time when silver and gold become bubble assets, and the same with battery metals and platinum and other hard assets. And stocks are going to become undervalued. Now, we're nowhere near that point now, but we need to shift our mindset. So, I'm always monitoring where are we at in the cycle. And I'm looking at ratios, the gold to Dow ratio, gold to real estate ratio. What's cheap relative to each other? And when we get to those historic extremes, I want to be able in a position to swap overvalued assets for undervalued assets. And that's the ultimate goal. And I think we're still in the early stages of this trend that's happening now. But that's where I focus for the intermediate to long term.
So if you want to put your own personal strategy together and you want to understand how to partake in this wealth transfer, I highly recommend that you check out Silver Chartist. We'll link it right there down below in the comments and in the description. Got a bunch of awesome stuff coming up. Steve's putting an app together, a lot of awesome stuff. So the price is going to be going up here pretty soon. So I highly recommend that you check that out and sign up right now. I'm a paying member myself. There's also a fantastic free newsletter as well. So be sure to check that out right there down below in the description and pinned to the comments. I want to thank you for coming on today, Steve. For everyone listening, give us a comment down below that says Go Silver Go right there down below. Go Silver Go in the comments. Make sure you hit the like button on this video, send it out in the YouTube universe, and make sure you hit the subscribe, bell notification, all that fun stuff. Steve, any last words?
No, I just appreciate speaking with you. Thanks for the kind words regarding the newsletter. And I'm sure the link down below will be to the free newsletter. But I would say opt into that first, and then you'll be taken to a place where you have the option to consider upgrading. And if it's not for you, we'd welcome you to join the free letter as well. So check that link out down below, and I'll walk you through all that.
So I want to thank you for listening today. We truly appreciate it. Growing community. It's grown a lot quicker than I thought. And we're all in this together. We're none of us want this to happen, but look, we're going to be realistic. We understand it's happening and we need to control what we can control. And seize as much opportunity as we can. And that's what this is all about. So we want to thank you for being a part of the community. Be sure to check out Silver Chartist right there down below. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next time.